Good evening, and welcome to Spirit Guide's Thirsty Thursday Happy Hours. We're very excited about tonight's show, and we hope you have a great time with us because we're getting deep into the mixed up history of the Margarita and the mixed up history of Cinco de Mayo. Another reason I'm excited about tonight's show is we get to have one of my all-time favorite cocktails, Avocado to the 405. And if you don't understand that reference, then immediately after the show, you should look up the Californians from SNL. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce my cohort, my comrade, my friend, Alexander Ron. Get on up here, buddy.
Yeah, wow. What an incredible introduction. Thanks, Jeremy. Jeremy Alexander, everybody. We got double Alexanders here if you didn't know. Check it out. So great to be here with you guys. We are celebrating some great holiday spirit, you know, because tomorrow is May Day. That's right. Cinco de Mayo is not the only holiday happening right now. In fact, part of Cinco de Mayo's popularity is probably because of the pagan holiday of May Day, which is celebrated on May 1st. You know, when people dance around the maypole? That was a thing, man. In a lot of places. It celebrates the midpoint on the wheel of the calendar between the spring equinox and the summer solstice. We're already halfway through spring. I know it doesn't feel like it because you're in a Quaran-cantina, baby. I know, it's tough. But let's take a look at the tools that we're gonna need to make some great margaritas. We're celebrating no matter what. You can't keep us down. So tonight you're gonna need the standard stuff. Definitely something to shake with, something to measure with. We're doing the fresh citrus juice, so get a juice press on hand. We are gonna have to strain the second cocktail. Very, very important that you have something to fine strain with, like that little mesh cone down at the bottom. Obviously, also a cutting board and a knife to cut up some of these fresh, delicious fruits. You are also going to need one of those following three things in the corner there. Either an immersion blender, which is our preferred method. You can also use a regular blender like that, or if you have like a NutriBullet, should work just fine. If you don't have any of those things, you can use a muddler to smash in the avocado fruit into the second drink. And if you don't have these tools, we'll show you in just a minute some substitutions. Ingredients for tonight, in case you didn't buy a cocktail kit, you're gonna need some tequila of your choice. We're going with a Blanco tequila from Camarena. We're gonna need lots of fresh limes, some sort of orange liqueur, like an orange curacao or Cointreau, agave syrup, fresh avocado, fresh cilantro, some fresh spicy peppers. We like Serrano chilies because they really have a good kick. And then some Mezcal. It's optional, but we kind of encourage it. And Liquor 43, also optional, but we kind of encourage it as well. If you got some salt on hand, not table salt, but some kind of rock salt, some kind of sea salt, that is great if you want to rim your margarita. You guys probably already know this stuff. I'm sure you do. Now, if you want to participate with our fabulous cocktail kits, you can get them at our Square site, spiritguidescocktails.square.site. This is our 6th week doing this. We're planning on going for 7 and 8 and 9 and 10. So if you guys want to buy a weekly subscription, we've got a little discount on there, and next week's gonna be fabulous too. We're gonna reveal that at the end of the show tonight. Okay, so anyway, Cinco de Mayo. It's crazy, right? Mexican Independence Day. Wrong. It's not Mexican Independence Day at all. That's in September. It's actually on September 16th. Today actually celebrates a strange occurrence in Mexican history. It was a battle between the Mexican army and the French army. The year was 1862, artist rendering, thanks Wikipedia. And a smaller Mexican force beat back a French army. The French actually were owed money by the Mexican government, and because Mexico had said, we're not paying, they were already an independent nation at this point, the French invaded. Obviously, this was happening concurrently with the Civil War in the United States, and France was actually on the side of the Confederacy. Would you believe it? still like hung over from the fact that we didn't help them in their revolution, I guess. Thanks, Hamilton the musical, for that info. Fact check. Can I get a fact check? So the Mexican army beat back the French army, and possibly it was a turning point in the Civil War for America. And so this holiday, while it has many, many roots in the country of Mexico, it was actually more celebrated in California, where we are, by Mexican gold miners who were living in California. The year after Cinco de Mayo in 1863, there was Time magazine reported that people were shooting off guns and they were all celebrating, having a big party. It was a way that that Mexican people who were actually in America were kind of defining their own cultural relationship to their community. It isn't really widely celebrated in Mexico even to this day. It gained a lot of popularity in the 1960s during the Chicano movement. History's words, not mine. And in 1989, America was hit with another coronavirus. Take a look.
This year, Corona is celebrating Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de what?
Cinco de Mayo, the 5th of May.
The Mexican holiday.
It's a great time to party with the Corona 5-step, the Cinco de Corona.
Sounds good.
Uno, grab a Corona.
Got it.
Dos, pop the top.
Like so.
Tres, squeeze in a lime. Cuatro, enjoy.
Like that step.
And Cinco, repeat step uno.
I get it.
Celebrate Cinco de Mayo with the Cinco de Corona.
Salud.
Oh, yeah. I know. That was during my lifetime, folks, and I'm sure during most of yours. Can you believe it? Coronavirus, Cinco de Mayo, Cinco de Corona, as they called it there. This is the main reason why we party on Cinco de Mayo. This was a complete fabrication by the Gambinus Group in Texas, who owned Corona at the time. And when they released that in 1989, beer sales on Cinco de Mayo absolutely skyrocketed. It's shocking not only that aired, but that it worked. And beer sales creeped up and creeped up. By the mid-90s, beer sales on Cinco de Mayo were outselling the Super Bowl, people, and that continues today. In 2013, $600 million were spent in drinking on Cinco de Mayo by Americans, not by Mexicans. So that is a pretty profoundly impactful marketing campaign. You gotta give it up to the Corona people. That's some pretty crazy, fun history. I think we gotta look at the commercial again. Am I wrong? Come on, let's do it again. One more time. It's too good, right? It's too good.
This year, Corona is celebrating Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de what?
Cinco de Mayo, the 5th of May.
The Mexican holiday.
It's a great time to party with the Corona 5-step, the Cinco de Corona.
Sounds good.
Uno, grab a Corona.
Got it.
Dos, pop the top.
Like so.
Tres, squeeze in a lime. Cuatro, enjoy.
Like that step.
And Cinco, repeat step uno.
I get it.
Celebrate Cinco de Mayo with the Cinco de Corona.
Salud.
Well, there you have it. Salud. Corona, Cinco de what? It's pretty wild, I know. I know. We're not talking about beer here, but we figured we should provide a little bit of history lesson. Another cocktail that has really benefited, obviously, from great marketing is the margarita. That's what we're here to talk about. You can't talk about Mexico without talking about tequila and the margarita. The margarita also has a very nebulous history. It was very created by a lot of people, shall we say. It's not a very complicated cocktail, so a lot of people laid claim to it. Most people think that it was in 1938 by Carlos Herrera at the Rancho La Gloria restaurant, which is not so far from Tijuana. Apparently made this cocktail for a woman who couldn't really drink anything but tequila. So he threw this together. She loved it, and the rest is history. However, this cocktail has tons and tons of roots in other cocktails. As we've seen, all of these things are just building on each other, and small ingredient substitutions give rise to an absolutely new kind of drink. So there was an entire class of cocktails in the 1800s called a daisy. Now, a daisy was just another kind of cocktail. As you see on this thing here, fizzes, sours, cocktails was a totally separate idea. A cocktail was something with bitters in it, sweetener and bitters, like an old-fashioned cocktail. But a sour had the juice, a fizz had typically soda water and perhaps some egg white. A daisy was a cocktail with citrus juice, sweet syrup, and also an orange liqueur like Cointreau or some type of that. That was a daisy. And daisy in Spanish is margarita. That's an actual translation. So we could go with that and say that's probably what it was. But the margarita also has a very, very close relationship to another very popular drink called the sidecar, which first appeared in print in 1922. And a sidecar is a cognac drink with lemon juice and orange curacao or Cointreau, just like that. And if you note the picture there, it is commonly served with a rim job. a sugar rim. Cricket. A sugar rim in this case. You don't want to have a sidecar with salt, I don't think. But you know, an interesting relationship there with the sidecar cocktail as well. Worthy of note, I heard recently that the salted rim actually has nothing to do with the flavor of the cocktail. They started doing the salted rim in Mexico because they had a fly problem. And the flies would land on top of the drink, and people didn't like that, so some inventive bartender decided, let's rim the glass with salt. I don't know if that's true. This fun fact that we saw also might be true. Another flu epidemic that you may have heard of. Now, I don't know if this is true, but we did somewhat fact check it before we put it up there. And
the Florida reporter, for one, verified this fact.
A Florida reporter has verified this, so we've got it going on with that. But it wasn't until 1945 when this thing really took off because of another amazing, outstanding marketing campaign. You know him, you love him. His name is Jose. And in 1945, this was their big ad campaign. I mean, look at those fabulous, fabulous paintings. Margarita, it's more than a girl's name. That's right. In fact, it's a cocktail. And it would soon become the single most popular cocktail in America. To this day, more margaritas are asked for and ordered and consumed by Americans than any other cocktail. Which explains why our kit sales were probably down this week, because you guys all have this stuff at home. So we're gonna show you how we like to do a margarita. Are you ready? I know you're probably really, really ready. That was a lot. We're gonna build a classic margarita Spirit Guides style. We feature 2 ounces of a Blanco tequila. Blanco means it has not been aged in oak or has only been aged in oak for a couple of months. We have some fresh lime juice, a full ounce of fresh lime juice. 1/2 ounce of our favorite orange liqueur, Pierre Ferrand Curacao, which we love, and 1/2 an ounce of agave syrup. You can do salt rim before mixing this whole thing together, which we will also do. Worthy of note about the tequila that we're using in the cocktail kit, it's a brand that we found called Camarena, and Camarena, we discovered that this company actually is responsible for being the first tequila company to have 0 waste. So sustainability is a big thing that doesn't get a lot of marketing in our common society, but we like to support sustainable producers, and we were happy enough to discover that the Camarena family and their subsidiary Tequila Supremo, they have a whole process for dealing with all of the waste products from making their agave distillates, which is a messy process, and we will show you that later. So great brand, very, very affordable. I think this was less than 20 bucks. So if you see it on a shelf, can't recommend them enough. All right, so let's go ahead and do our margarita. I'm gonna go ahead and salt the rim of this thing first before we go for it, just to show you. We've got a little lime wedge there, a little wedgie, and just gonna rub that on the side of the glass. You guys probably already know this from college. and a plate full of some nice salt. We're using Malden sea salt flakes, incredible cooking salt from Great Britain. We're fancy like that. And then you just want to like rub the glass all around there. Look at that. Some people call that a snow job. Give a little cut to the wedge and we can set this aside. So pre-do that with your glass if you want salt. It's totally not necessary, but I personally love it. We're gonna do this as a shake and drink, and we do a margarita as a shake and dump, which we talked about last week doing the Mai Tais. Put all the ingredients in the tin, add ice, shake it until you're ready, and then just pour it right into the cup. You don't need to strain it, don't need to do any of that stuff. All right, so we've got our measuring, our jigger, and we are going to squeeze now a full ounce of lime juice. Per cocktail, of course. We're gonna split this one because we're taking it slow. We're taking it slower tonight. The Mai Tais set us back a day, so I hope you guys had fun with that one. So usually it takes 1 lime, maybe 1.5 limes to get a full measured ounce of lime juice. Feel the pain of every lime that must be squeezed to make this cocktail. But when you squeeze the fresh limes yourself, I mean, this runs circles around sweet and sour mix, I must say. Add just a little bit more. All right, so we've got our lime juice in the tin. Next step, to delicately add a 1/2 ounce of agave syrup. You can do a little bit less on the agave if you're worried about it being too sweet. And next up, our orange liqueur, our dry curacao from Pierre Ferrand. Remember this last week. Cointreau also, or triple sec is another orange liqueur. 1/2 ounce into the tin, like a champ. And finally, lastly but not leastly, a full measured 2 ounces of our Blanco tequila. Like I said, Blanco, it refers to the amount of time that the tequila has spent inside of an oak barrel. When you see Blanco or silver, it's 0 to 3 months. If you see Reposado, that means it's been rested for 3 months to 6 months, I believe. I'm sorry, 2 months to 1 year. And then añejo is 1 to 3 years. Anything over 3 years is considered extra añejo. So tequila, unlike whiskeys and rums and a lot of other spirits, it doesn't have a lot to do with oak. So most of the time when you're tasting is just some great tequila. So we like to use a Blanco so we can really get that nice, clean flavor. But whatever you're using, I'm sure it's gonna be great. And you're doing it yourself. Kudos to you. Tins together. For the first responders. Aye! Are people cheering for the first responders in your neighborhood? Because we're going nuts over here. Everybody loves it. Good to show your support for the people that are helping us through this very difficult time. Boom, baby. Shake and dump. Going right into the glass. Yeah, filled that up just about perfectly, didn't it?
Good job.
It's a good job. Good job, everybody. And that's a classic margarita. Give yourselves a round of applause and a big old sip. Now, I know I've been talking for a really, really long time, so we are going to do something a little bit different today. We tried to do this in week 2 and failed because of technical problems. But we do have, returning to the Spirit Guides Thirsty Thursday Happy Hour.
Hey,
I'm gonna pause you for
Oh,
just a
sure.
second because we do have some guests who fell behind, and
I'm
feel
sorry.
Like we can give a little throwback. So
Let's give a
go back to the
throwback.
recipe build here. Let's just go over the recipe one more time and.
Great.
So the triple sec, first of all, is the Pierre Ferrand.
Yes, sorry. Yes. Pierre Ferrand Curacao. This is our printed recipe for how we do it. That is orange liqueur. When you see that, just read orange liqueur, which means triple sec. It means Cointreau.
On the bottles, like the bottles they have. They're printed labels on the bottles.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. I forgot to mention. All right, y'all. I left you cocktail kit people in the dust. That's my bad. So the curacao and the agave syrup have already been pre-mixed together. My bad. I forgot to mention that. Thank you for bringing me back, Jeremy. So Marg mix in the bottle, that's the curacao and the agave syrup. Jeez.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was about to blast through that. So it's going to be 2-1-1. 2 ounces of the tequila, 1 ounce of fresh lime juice, and then 1 ounce margarita mix. That's what we're working with. Did that clear up any confusion? Don't do that, man. Don't creep up on me like that. So if you've got the cocktail kit, once again, 2 ounces of the tequila, squeeze yourself 1 ounce of fresh lime, per drink, mind you, and then 1 ounce of the little bottle labeled Marg mix. We've also done the same thing for the second cocktail, the 405, so I will not forget to remind you. I was taking care of those viewers at home who have all this stuff.
Which is the wrong thing to do.
I should have been taking care of our dear friends who are supporting us with our crazy venture.
Poured the whole bottle in.
If you poured the whole bottle in, just pour everything else that you got from the tequila. You can shake it up, strain it, and then save it for later. You don't have to drink it all right now. By the way, if you mess up like that and you just make more of a cocktail and you're like, oh no, I don't want to drink all this right now, just strain it out of the ice and then put it in a container and save it for later. Put it in the fridge. When the liquor is added to the fresh citrus juice, it's gonna act like a preservative. So you're not gonna lose that freshness in just like a few days. You know, we've kept stuff in our fridge and taste tested it after we've done events. You know, we don't serve it at events, but we do taste it for ourselves, and you'd be really surprised about the shelf life of combined cocktails. Sometimes you just really can't even taste the difference for weeks. Anyway, fun fact, help yourself out. Are we ready for our interlude?
Yeah, let's bring him on.
We're gonna bring on Mr. Rod Castro, a fabulous guitar player who's going to entertain you for a little music break, a little musica. And this is Rod. He's played with all kinds of crazy artists. He's played for Beyonce, he's played for Ellie Goulding, and now he's playing for you on Spirit Guides Thirsty Thursdays. Take it away, Rod. Cheers, Rod. Thank you. Everybody raise a tequila daisy to Rod Castro. What do you guys think of the drink? How does it step up? How does it compare to other margaritas that you've had? We're dying to know. I had so much history for you guys to get through that I kind of jumped the gun, and I know some of you are following along at home, and I didn't do what we usually do, which is show you the tools that you can use to properly prepare these cocktails if you don't have bar gear. So I'm just going to quickly do that, which will be important for the next cocktail. If you just threw everything that you had in those bottles into a jar, it's gonna be fine. Just add ice. However, the next one is a little more specific. So if you don't have a jigger, measuring these cocktails is the most important thing. Those little bottles that we sell to you guys, those are not pre-measured. They're rough, but you know they're not pre-measured. So if we just say, and every bartender says this, measure what you're putting in the glass. This is chemistry as well as an art form. So if you have a Pyrex, this is going to be good for measurements of 2 ounces or more. Sometimes you have a smaller one and you can get down to 1 ounce in those. A quarter of a cup is 2 ounces. Fun fact. And a tablespoon, which most of you chefs probably have out there, a tablespoon is the equivalent of 1/2 ounce. So if you have a tablespoon, you can just use that to substitute all of your measurements. Fill that's a 1/2 ounce. So if you do that 4 times, that's 2 ounces. Easy peasy math. If you don't have a set of shaking tins like so, we recommend a water bottle like this, something that screws off so you can put some ice in it, but you know, you can find things around the house to use for a shaking tin. You can also use a mason jar with a lid, really effective. You just want to be able to have room to get that shake weight motion going, you know? Also very important for the next drink, because we are going to fine strain it, because we have avocado in it, which is a little nuts. This is a fine strainer, little mesh cone, kind of like that. If you don't have that, a lot of chefs may have something a little bit bigger like this hanging around. Just that fine mesh strain is ideal. You might also have some cheesecloth that you can use. This is a hard substitution, we know. So if you're down on your luck, you might not have these things. Also, if you don't have a blender or if you don't have a muddler, you can use something like a salad spoon. Beautiful salad spoon here. Thanks, Frankie. And you can just press the herbs and ingredients with the round, flat end of that. Something that's round and flat. So anyway, take a minute, see what you got lying around the kitchen. I don't want to leave anyone in the lurch. This is not what we're about. Totally inclusive. So, that being said, while you guys are enjoying your margarita, let's just talk a little bit about tequila. Tequila itself is something that is very, very confused. Everybody thinks of Jose Cuervo as tequila, not in small part to the marketing campaign that we saw. But tequila is a very interesting spirit, because tequila is actually a smaller subset of a larger category, and the larger category is mezcal. So when we think of mezcal, I think we usually think that it's smoky, it's got that smoky flavor, it's like tequila but with smoke added, right? Well, actually mezcal is a wider category than tequila. It's like squares and rectangles. Not all mezcals are tequila, but all tequilas are mezcals. To be a tequila, it comes down to the plant that is used. There's lots of other agave spirits, but with tequila, you have to use one plant and one plant only, and that is the blue Weber agave. There's tons and tons of different species of agaves that have been identified. Mezcals can be made with 30 plus, I think, different types agave plants. But if you want a tequila has to be made with 100%, with Blue Weber agave. It's got to be made with Blue Weber agave. The 100% thing that you see on some tequilas where it says this is 100% Blue Agave, which is all the tequila that we will recommend that you use. Tequila, just kind of like corn and whiskey, it has to be 51% of a tequila mash bill. So if you've got Blue Weber distillate, 51%, you can say it's tequila and have 49% other stuff in there. This is like what Cuervo Gold is, and a lot of these other cheaper brands. They're making a tequila, but they're cutting it with other stuff, and sometimes that other stuff is fine. Sometimes it's pretty rough. We say just keep it safe and go with 100% tequila, 100% Blue Agave. Tequila is actually, and all mezcal really, there was a University of Chicago study that was done, and Mexican mezcals are the purest distilled alcohol that is in the world for human consumption. The reason being is that alcohol is a monosaccharide, and so the liver has to work to break down monosaccharides, and when the liver is not doing that quickly enough, that's why you get what's called a hangover. However, really, really well-made mezcal and all mezcals are polysaccharides, and so they start breaking down the minute that they touch your mouth. I don't understand the chemistry on it, but go ask Sergio Inuragaro, who is the president of the Association Pro Cultura de Mezcal and ambassador of mezcal to the world. And this is what he will tell you. I'm almost certain of it. At least that's what I read in the research for this show. So mezcal, as a wider category, can be made by a lot of different places. There's a lot of different categories. If you want to read more about the plants that are distilled into these lovely spirits that we enjoy, I can't recommend this book enough. It's called The Drunken Botanist: The Plants That Create the World's Great Drinks. So this is by Amy Stewart. This is a fantastic read for anyone that is further interested in the botany behind alcohol, because alcohol is a plant medicine. It's fermentation is a natural process, and distillation is basically refining of the alcohols that are created by yeast. So we are very, very lucky today to have our first ever sponsor on this show, Moro Mezcal. If you guys have the cocktail kit, you've got a whole little bottle that says Moro on it. This mezcal was donated to us for this show. It is absolutely exceptional stuff. Can't recommend it enough. In fact, if you have the bottles, there is enough at the top there for you to pour off a little taste. So if you want to pour off a little bitty taste, just to have there's another glass has appeared here.
How did that happen?
My producer, everyone. Cheers. This is a completely refined, ridiculous spirit that has no place in a cocktail, really. It's very, very clean. I won't say no place in a cocktail. It's got a place in our cocktail that we're going to put it in. And if it was any more of a subpar cocktail than it is, I would not allow this, because this stuff is too good. We had to slightly change a few things about this drink to really let this shine through. It's exceptionally good. So have a little taste if you've got it on hand. But there's definitely like just it's so clean. The citrus, there's like this light smoke. Sometimes with mezcals, like you feel like the smoke is just kind of bashing you in the face, which I like, but you can tell that this is refined. A very, very excellent spirit. So we want to thank Moro Mezcal for sponsoring this show. In fact, we've got some pictures from their website. This is a family-owned operation. This is the lead mezcalero. His name is Juan Lopez Oliveira. And you're buying a product like this, you're supporting a completely family-owned business. There are some of their mezcal fields. So I'm not sure if these are Blue Weber agaves or not, I don't think they are.
I
No,
think they're
they're
Espadin.
yeah, Espadin. Oh no, they're Maguey.
No, it's both.
Oh, I'm
Espadin
sorry.
is another term for it. It's Espadin.
Espadin, right.
Is a specific agave.
Maguey is something else. There's so many words in this bottle that even I don't understand.
Side note is Espadin is the most popular agave varietal for mezcals, but there's
There
many,
you
many
go.
more. But it's the most common of them. So most mezcals you drink are using an Espadin plant.
So, there you go. Jeremy Needleman with the distillation facts. There is such a wide variety of different agaves that can be distilled, and what I love about this product is that they're listing that stuff right on the bottle. Here is some examples of the process of how this is done. A giant agave plant, if you've ever seen it, has those big spikes. So they use this tool right there, which I'm sure has some amazing name, and they cut those spikes off. And the piñas, as they're called, because they kind of look like little pineapples, those are the core, the heart of this agave plant. This is not a cactus. This is a succulent. It's a giant desert succulent. And so when you are drinking mezcal, you are actually consuming the spirit of the earth that this stuff grew in. I mean, these things take a really, really long time to grow. I think part of the reason why mezcals are so clean versus like grain, which is, cheap and easy and grows everywhere really quickly. This really takes a lot of time. Down there in the lower corner, this is the piñas have been cooked, and they've been distilled, and they've been crushed by a giant wheel on this the stone pallet there, and that's the leftover stuff. So when I was saying earlier about the zero waste thing, a lot of distilleries, Camarena, Cazadores actually as well, and I'm sure a lot of these family-owned places, they're doing their utmost to return this stuff to the earth in the best way that they can. So definitely look up sustainable spirits the next time you're trying to make a great drink. And speaking of great drinks, here's our second recipe for the day. Our very, very special, very own spicy margarita. It's avocado to the 405. And we want to give a shout out to Jessie Smith of Jenny Verbar. She was there when we created this. She assisted. We were actually both working on a Liquor 43 cocktail that we could make. Liquor 43 was looking for sponsors, bartenders to create cool stuff. Jessie is a complete gangster, and she gave us a huge assist on this, as well as an assist on the name. And like Jeremy said, if you don't know the Californians, you should go watch it, because then you'll understand. But as you can see from the build, this is basically just another margarita. I mean, all we're doing is changing a few things. We're subbing out the tequila, and we're doing half mezcal, more or less, and a little bit less of a Serrano chili rested tequila, a spicy tequila. We wanted to get some spice going on. We've slightly changed the ratios, but we've still got our lime juice, our orange liqueur, and our agave. The exciting thing about this drink is that we add some avocado into the cocktail. And why would we do that, you ask? Avocado? You don't want to put that in a cocktail. You want that maybe in a salad and some guacamole. But I'm telling you, it is all about the what? Mouthfeel. It's all about the mouthfeel. It creates a nice just bath for your mouth. The fattiness of the avocado really comes through. And we like this with Liquor 43 instead of our usual Curacao. Liquor 43 Quaran-cantina is a Spanish liqueur. It's like a vanilla citrus kind of thing. There's a lot more going on in this than like a triple sec or other things. So if you don't have this, or you don't have the cocktail kit, you can use Cointreau, you can use Curacao. It's going to approximate the flavor, but the way that this stuff works with the avocado is the really exceptional thing about this cocktail, in our opinion. Humble opinion, may I add. All right. So we're gonna measure So be sure that you're measuring. Now, if you have the cocktail kit, you are going to start off with 3/4 of an ounce of the 405 mix, which is agave plus this liqueur 43. If you're doing a double, measure 1.5. If you've got a tablespoon and not a jigger, you're going to do 1 full tablespoon and then 1/2 of another tablespoon. Dig? All right. So I'm gonna build it in here and this jar first because we're gonna flash blend this, which is very exciting. It's one of my favorite things. So let's see. All right. So I'm building this from scratch. If you're building this from home, scratch, you want to do 1/4 of an ounce of agave. So that's less than the last one because this is a little bit sweeter than our curacao. And then 1/2 ounce of the liqueur 43. That's our sweet substitute for the avocado to the 405. Then we are going to cut another lime, and remember to cut it hamburger way. Is that right? Yeah, not hot dog, hamburger, so that you get the nice little wheel action going on.
Which is apparently one of those weird things that only Americans do, is say hamburger versus hot dog style. Factoid I learned recently.
It's because that's all we subsisted on for about 5 decades. I point to the Corona commercial anytime people are wondering, like, what the hell's wrong with people in America? Like, well, just watch this commercial from 1989. That pretty much sums it up. No, it was just a different time. It was a different time. Oh, I did it. Well, that happens sometimes. Even a spirit guide can knock over his or her.
It's not about making mistakes, it's about how you recover from your mistakes that matters.
Well, I'm going to cut another lime. Luckily, we have no shortage of lime juice. No shortage of fresh limes over here. So if you guys need more fresh limes for this operation in the future, just, shoot us a DM. All right. There we go. Oh, you know what? I totally forgot I was supposed to make a double on this. Well, I'll make it a second time later. This will be for Jeremy. What I'm doing here is that sometimes you have these citrus presses and, you press down the lime quite a bit. Kind of bulk it back up with your fingers, and then you might be able to get a little more citrus out of it. Waste not, want not. That's what I always say. 3/4 of lime juice. Groovy. All right, and now we're going to add our spirit, starting with a spicy tequila. So we have rested this on Serrano chilies for only about 2 hours. The peppers are so spicy that a 2-hour infusion is all you need to extract that heat and also good peppery flavor from those Serranos. So that was 3/4 of an ounce, 1.5 tablespoons. And then we're going to do 1 ounce of our Moro Mezcal, or whatever Mezcal you're rocking at home. If you don't have Mezcal, but you have tequila, just do 2 ounces of tequila. And you can cut some pepper and then muddle that into this concoction here. So if you're building this at home and you don't have our spicy tequila, that's a way to get the spice really quickly in there. You got some jalapenos, you got some Thai chilies if you're crazy, or a ghost pepper if you're truly insane. Don't do it.
Or a Carolina Reaper.
I don't know enough about. Is that the hottest one?
That's pretty hot.
Ow! Aye! So you could take a muddler and you could slowly muddle the peppers into this concoction if you don't have a spicy rested tequila. But I'm gonna go ahead and say we're probably doing fine. Hope no one's falling behind here. Please let me know. All right. Now, I'll do this with a fresh one.
And you put 2 ounces of mezcal in there, right?
I put, this is just going to be for you.
Oh.
I'll make a second one.
Okay.
Because I already measured it.
Yeah.
And so now we're going to add a little bit of avocado. If you just get a little groove with the knife, you can just peel this in your hand. I'm just circling the blade around the pit that's on the inside. Give it a little twist, like a lock and key. Oh, this one might be not ripe enough.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, that's still pretty rubbery. Well, if you got a rubbery one, you can probably still use it. Oh, that's pretty tough. Well, hopefully you guys don't have a rubbery avocado on your hands. Avocados are very, very testy, as you know. I think we've all seen that meme that's like, don't eat me, don't eat me, don't eat me, don't eat me. Okay, now I'm bad. So that's about all we need. It's like if you cut the avocado in half, you can think of it as like 1/8 of the avocado is about what we're doing there. So, oh, I know, the angelic light. So anyway, there we go. We've got the whole drink built now and a little piece of avocado in our jar. So now if you've got a muddler, you can muddle it. If you're doing this in a NutriBullet, you can go ahead and flash blend it for like 5 seconds. We have our very, very fun Cuisinart Smart Stick. So put the Smart Stick into this and we're just gonna blend it together. Just like that. Easy breezy. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's looking good. I think I could get a little more. You kind of want to like not see any big pieces. You're pretty much just making like a tequila mezcal smoothie. This is why the fine strainer comes in super handy when we want to put this in a glass and have a good time. All right, now I'm going to transfer this to my shaking tin, but you could also just put a lid on this guy and shake it with ice. We're going to pour this into our tin. And then what we like to do, and this is optional because I know sometimes this tastes like soap to people, put in a sprig, maybe 2, of some fresh cilantro. Gonna give a nice aromatic. And this is like guacamole in a glass right here. Ice in the tin, slap it up, and we're gonna shake. Shake, 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 Senora. Shake your body line. Work, 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 Senora. Oh yeah. Work it all the time. Fantastic. Good work. Was that as good for me as it was for you? All right, now we're not gonna shake and dump because we got a lot of weird pulp in there. You can just drink it like that, but I mean, we don't recommend that. That would taste kind of funky. It's gonna taste good, but it's just gonna, it's the mouthfeel, you know? Trying to get a good experience going. So let's add some fresh ice cubes to the glass. And then if you've got the double strain action going on, you have our Hawthorne. This will do most of the work, but this is what you really, really need for this drink. And you're gonna see why. There's gonna be a lot of weird fine pulp. So here we go, doing the dump. And that's a double strain over our fresh rocks. Just look at the color on that. So if you can see there, it's kind of hard to see, but there's this whole goopy, thin layer of avocado pulp that got caught in our mesh strainer. Not going to kill you, obviously. It's the healthiest part of the drink. However, we don't really need that. And we're gonna do a little smack on a fresh piece of cilantro, just like we've been doing with the mint, but now we're using a different herb. All just substitutions, variations around the same theme. And that's gonna give a nice aromatic when you bring it up, excuse me, when you bring it up to your nose to have a drink. I'm gonna do a little double there, cross it up. Excellent, look at that. That looks really nice. I'm gonna call in my royal taste tester. Have a taste. Also, if this is not spicy enough for you, you can add a little more chili to it. Go for it. We're trying to kind of delicately balance a lot of different things here. Part smoky, part spicy. If it gets too spicy, it starts to step on this beautiful Moro Mezcal, and we don't want that. So you can also, if you want to try a different kind of deal, love to sprinkle a little tahini on top of this sometimes too. That extra little chili pepper and lime bite. We love tahini out here. So there you have it, folks. A blended avocado spicy margarita. You just made it yourselves. How do you feel? We hope you're feeling great. We hope it's tasting great. This is the part of the show where you can give us the feedback. Oh God.
From Alexa, we get a whoa.
Good, right?
Yeah. It's tasty.
It's a
I'm a fan of this
tasty,
drink, personally.
tasty drink. This is one of those cocktails that as people that have been doing this for a long time, when we discovered this, it was kind of a turning point moment in our career as drink makers. The spicy margarita is something that everybody loves, and we had been circulating this for a long time. We had recipes that we done for other parties where we used like cucumber and Saint Germain in a spicy margarita and played around with all sorts of different things. And when we came across this one, that magical night, we just said, well, I think that's the nail in the coffin right there. You want a spicy margarita? I mean, we can't really tell you how to make a better one. So, hope you enjoy this guacamole in a glass, your tequila daisy, and let's just show you, if you guys weren't able to try the Moro Mezcal, or if you were and you just absolutely love it, we're gonna give them a big plug here, and this is where you can buy it locally in LA. They do distribute to other places, I'm sure. Just go on their website, Moro Mezcal. But if you're local, I know Barkeeper on the east side is still open because I was just there, and Joe is a great shop owner and is so knowledgeable. They have this there at Barkeeper in Silver Lake. It's also at Silver Lake Wine. If you're in Mid-City, Domain LA or Larchmont Village Wine, and on the west side in Venice at Lincoln Fine Wines, or there's two locations of high-low liquor. One is in Culver City and one is in Long Beach. I don't know if these places are still open for business, but from what I've been told, alcohol is essential. It's essential. We don't want the people rioting, after all. So, is it any wonder that this time of year is a time of great celebration? The day just felt longer today. We're approaching May Day, the midpoint between spring and summer, and it makes sense why Cinco de Mayo is such a popular time for grabbing a drink, having a good time. But now hopefully you know a little bit more how to make yourself a finer cocktail on the holiday, and we appreciate the opportunity to give marketing plugs to some great spirit brands, some great companies that we really support, and a great musician in Mr. Rod Castro. So before we sign off, are there any other burning questions? Anything to share, to reflect? feel free to hit us up on the chat right now.
We've got one really good pun from Schmin, which I would just like to share, which is, Avocado don't miss out on the Spirit Guide's riff on a spicy margarita.
I have no words. Thank you, Schmin. Thank you. That was very very enlightening. It's a quiet night.
Yeah, it's a quiet
We dig
night.
it, man.
Chat's
We dig
quiet.
the quiet nights.
Yeah.
Well, before we sign off, we're still going to keep the chat alive for the next 15 minutes or so, so please hang out. But as always, we got to tease next week, and it's another holiday, so we hope that you will join us next week as we give a shout out to Yo Mama. It's our Mother's Day special, a bit of the bubbly. We have a delightful sponsor once again in a local company called the Spirit Guild. Not the Spirit Guides, but the Spirit Guild. This is the first time that the Spirit Guild and the Spirit Guides are collaborating. How cool is that? They are a downtown LA local distillery, so we're supporting local business here, and they wanna give some great gin to you guys for our next cocktail experience next week. We're going to break down some cocktails that have champagne. Our cocktail kits are going to feature real champagne in them, so definitely check that out. It's going to go live tonight. I think it's already live, actually. So if you want to purchase that, please feel free. Also, if you want the ingredients list, we'll be posting that, or if you can direct message us for the ingredients that you need to follow along. But that's our Mother's Day special. Treat your mother, treat the woman of your life to some delightful champagne in some great cocktails that we're going to show you how to make next week. There you go. You can get them at spiritguidescocktails.square.site, and we'll be back here next week at www.twitch.tv/spiritguides. And of course, follow us on Instagram at Spirit Guides Cocktails. And a shout out to Ben Stanton, who has created some amazing theme music for us.